Who is Joe Kent?
So I'm a 20-year combat veteran. I was a Green Beret, served our country, went to combat 11 times. I'm also a father. I have two wonderful young sons, 9 and 7 years old. They tragically lost their mother. I tragically lost my late wife, Shannon Kent, a couple years ago when she was killed fighting ISIS in Syria. I'm remarried and I have a wonderful new wife, Heather, who's just been a blessing to us. And I love where I live out in Yacolt, Washington. So just honored to step forward and attempt to continue my service to our country here in Congress.
Why are you running for Congress?
Look, I'm running for Congress because I served our country for well over 20 years. Service is in my blood. I feel that my oath to this nation never expired. And I think our country's in crisis right now. Due to the policies of Joe Biden and Marie Perez, we have a wide open southern border. We have fentanyl killing over 100,000 Americans every single year because of this wide open southern border. The economy is crushing the working class, and that's due to Bidenomics supported by Marie Perez. Inflation's out of control. So we've got to get that under control in order to provide a future for our children and for our grandchildren. So that's why I'm running.
What are your qualifications?
So qualifications, a little bit over 20 years in the military, was a Green Beret, served at the highest levels of special operations. I did some time in the CIA as a paramilitary operations officer, worked as a project manager for a technology company. I was also a warrant officer in the military, so I started out on the enlisted side, the worker bee side, and then became an officer, became a manager of folks, and also a leader. So I know what it means to be the bridge between leadership and between the workers on the ground. And I think that ties in very nicely to Congress, because your job in Congress is to be the people of the district's direct tie into the federal government. So you have to understand how the federal apparatus works, the federal bureaucracy, but you've also got to understand the intricacies of the district. This is also the second time I've ran for this position, so I have been all over our huge, beautiful district for the last several years. And so I know most of these local issues very, very well, made a lot of great relationships with the people on the ground. And so I think my ability to get ground truth from the people in Washington 3 and take it to D.C. is very unique.
What do you see as the number one job for the next member of the House elected from your district?
Just to represent the people. And right now, we just don't have that in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. prioritizes the military-industrial complex. They prioritize corporate America over the people of Washington 3 and really the people of this entire nation. So we need a leader that's actually going to prioritize the district. And that ties into basically everything from making sure the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers gives flood relief, to making sure that the I-5 crossing gets taken care of, to making sure that inflation isn't crushing the people of the district, to making sure that fentanyl isn't being pumped into the district because of the wide open southern border, and really to make sure that our government actually prioritizes the citizens of this country.
Will you make bipartisanship a priority? Why or why not?
I'll definitely make it a priority. Look, I came into politics primarying a member of my own party because I wasn't satisfied and the people of the district weren't satisfied with the job that she was doing. And so for me, it's about principles. It's about putting our country first. I'll work with anyone gladly who shares those principles with me. Being able to compromise and work with other folks, it's part of my background. I was a Green Beret. My job was to go in and work with foreign cultures, people who I don't speak the same language as, don't share the same religion as, and really are quite foreign in every sense of the word. But my job was to build relationships with them, live with them, put my lives in their hands, and then for them to put their lives in my hands. So I understand what it means to compromise and what it means to share goals with people who I may not necessarily see eye to eye on every issue with. But I think when we strip away the partisan labels, we're all Americans at the end of the day. And so I'm more than happy to work with folks, especially when it comes to securing our border and actually putting our folks first and ending this cycle of endless wars and conflict that we seem to find ourselves in.
Should the United States put more strict conditions on its support for Israel or how Israel uses U.S. weapons? Why or why not?
We should support Israel by maintaining the Abraham Accords. And the Abraham Accords brought about a historic peace in the Middle East because we isolated the issue of Israel and Palestine, and we focused on a peace agreement led by America, led by President Trump, between the Israelis and between the Sunni Gulf states. And that really put Iran into check, and that prevented the Iranians from funding terrorists like Hamas, like the Houthis, and like the Iranian proxies that are killing American service members currently. So we need to strengthen the Abraham Accords. We need to help with our diplomacy. We have to be very, very judicious on how much money we're giving to foreign countries because we are $35 trillion in debt. Before we prioritize our own people, we can't prioritize other nations. But thankfully, Israel has a better debt to GDP ratio than we do. I don't think they need our money as much as they need our diplomatic support, and they need us to help them strengthen the Abraham Accords and really isolate the Iranian terrorists. As far as adjudicating what Israel does on the battlefield to defend their own country, that's not our business. We don't need to be involved in those day-to-day matters, but we do need to diplomatically strengthen and support the Abraham Accords and Israel.
What should Congress do to discourage illegal immigration and encourage legal immigration?
Number one, we've got to build the wall. We've got to get the military down there to actually secure our border. We have our military securing the borders of many Middle Eastern countries, countries in Europe, while our border is wide open. Get our military down there, finish and build the wall, make sure our country is actually secure. That's going to stop the flow of fentanyl. That's killing 130,000 Americans every single year. And then we need to have an immigration policy that actually supports and benefits the American people. If people came here illegally, they've got to go home. They either need to self-deport, or we need to run them down. We need to catch them, and we need to deport them. We need to make it clear to them that if you come to our country illegally, you will never be an American citizen. And then we have to have a discussion as a country who we want in our country, and will they actually benefit our nation. Countries that care about their people will only bring in immigrants that are going to be a net positive to our nation.
Why should people who live in Washington vote for you?
Look, I've served this country. I've been to combat for this nation. I'm very, very determined to continue to serve this country. I understand how Washington, D.C. has not prioritized the people of this nation. I saw that firsthand in the wars that I fought for this country. I saw it firsthand in the way that my wife gave her life for this nation. And so I understand what sacrifice actually means, and I'm willing to continue to serve in Washington, D.C. Like I said, I've been all over this district for the last couple of years. I understand these local issues and the communities at a very, very deep level, and I would be honored to go back to Washington, D.C. and to fight for the people of this district.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm K2 Steve Dunn. For more content like this video and click to subscribe to K2's YouTube channel. And for more in-depth conversations with the candidates, watch Your Voice, Your Vote Sundays at 9 a.m. For continuing coverage of the 2024 election and beyond, visit KATU.com.